Greetings, duelists. I am Maximilian Pegasus. It is my great honor and pleasure to welcome you all to the Duelist Kingdom.
Red Eyes Black Dragon!
What's good, YouTube? Duelist Kingdom here. Today I'm bringing you a new Top 5 series. Hit that like button if you're hyped, and I hope you enjoy. Today we're dropping Top 5 Yu-Gi-Oh! Hand Traps. For those of you who don't know, a hand trap is a monster effect that can be activated from the hand in response to an opponent's action. So it's not an actual trap card, but it has a similar function in that it disrupts or surprises the opponent. At number 5, we have the card Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. At first look, it's a tuner card, level 3, so it might work better in some decks than others. But the effect is that during either player's turn, when a monster on the field activates its effect, or when a spell or trap card that is already face up on the field activates its effect, you can send this card from your hand or field to the graveyard, destroy that card on the field. You can only use this effect of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit once per turn. So this is a very strong effect, and although it does not negate the effect that your opponent activates, it does help against effects that can be activated once per turn, in that it can destroy the card so that it can't be activated. Or if you select a monster effect, you can limit their combos by destroying that monster. At number 4, we have a new card that hasn't been released yet in the TCG, and it's called Yashiki. This hand trap reads that when a card or effect is activated that includes any of these effects, as a quick effect you can discard this card and negate that activation. Add a card from the graveyard to the hand, deck, or extra deck. Special summon from the graveyard. Banish a card from the graveyard. You can only use one Yashiki Warashi once per turn. So this card's really cool because whenever they activate one of those effects, you can negate it. In new meta decks, you're using the graveyard a lot to try to mill out your cards. If you're not using the graveyard, you're at a high disadvantage for your deck. So this will help get you ahead in that stopping your opponent from making their big plays. Coming in at number 3, we have Droll and Lock Bird. This card reads that during either player's turn, if your opponent adds a card or cards from their deck to their hand, except during the draw phase, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, and for the rest of this turn, neither player can add a card from their deck to their hand. This card is very strong in that it can stop your opponent from making insane plays with their deck. However, to activate this card, they have to have already drawn one. So it's not like they can't do any plays out of the deck, but it does limit the insane amount of plays that most meta decks have been doing. Therefore, I give this card number 3. At number 2, we have the infamous Maxie. Maxie is one of the most popular hand traps in the game, bearing maybe Karibo. This card reads that during either player's turn, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard. This turn, each time your opponent special summons a monster or monsters, immediately draw one card. You can only use one Maxie per turn. So if your opponent uses this card against you, you have two options. You can special summon as little cards as you can and have a non-optimal field or board for your opponent to just run over. Or you could say screw it, special summon as much monsters as you can, give your opponent a ton of new resources, and then ultimately watch them run you over. This card has led to an insane amount of wins against Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournaments, and this card ranks in at number 2. Before I get to number 1, I wanted to include a runner-up. Not making it to the top 5 is this card Effect Veiler. Although it's not in the countdown, I still consider this one of the most strong hand traps in the game. It had its era back then, but now it's kind of getting filtered out due to all these new hand traps that are coming in. This card reads that during your opponent's main phase, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, then target one face-up effect monster your opponent controls. That face-up monster your opponent controls has its effects negated until the end of the turn. This is a quick effect. This card can stop your opponent from making big plays, because when they summon a monster, if you choose the right one, if you know what kind of deck they're playing, and you stop the right monster from using that effect, it can cause you to win the game, straight up. This card's amazing in Blue Eyes because it's searchable off Sage, and it combos with the cards because it's a level 1 light tuner. And finally, at number 1, we have the infamous Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. People were going crazy over this card when it first came out, and they still are. This card reads that during either player's turn, when a card or effect is activated that includes any of these effects, you can discard this card and negate that effect. So if your opponent adds a card from the deck to their hand, special summons from the deck, or sends a card from the deck to the graveyard, you can negate it. You can only use this effect with Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring once per turn. This card is phenomenal. It is amazing. It's very similar to Yashiki, how Yashiki goes to the graveyard, but this card stops him from the deck. Every good meta deck, every good deck in general, plays off of the deck. So if you have this card to negate the effects of a monster, or a spell card that would do that, it's great. You get ahead so much. And there you have it, the top 5 Yu-Gi-Oh! Hand traps in my opinion. Let me know what you think, give me your order down in the comment section below, and leave a like if you enjoyed the video. I'll catch you later.